Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're venturing into the really dynamic world of cafes in Clarke Quay, Singapore. We've got a lot of fascinating insights to unpack here. Our mission today is to really kind of peel back the layers. We're not just listing facts, we're digging into the internal strengths and weaknesses and those external opportunities and threats, the SWOT analysis stuff that dictate whether a cafe here truly thrives or, well, barely survives. It's a fascinating puzzle, really.
Exactly. And what's crucial here, I think, is how a structured approach like SWOT doesn't just give you a list. It really illuminates these complex market dynamics, gives owners, investors a much more holistic view to pinpoint,
Yeah.
where they can thrive or maybe where the biggest dangers lie.
Right, especially in a place like Clarke Quay.
Definitely. It's
Yeah.
super competitive.
Okay, so let's start with the positives. What's giving these cafes a real edge in Clarke Quay? From your perspective, what's maybe the single most powerful strength?
Oh, without a doubt, it's the location. That prime spot along the Singapore River,
Yeah.
super close to the MRT stations, that's their public transport in the central business district.
hmm
It just means automatic, immense foot traffic. It's almost like a gold mine for visibility.
And okay, beyond just people walking by, how does that visibility really translate into, actual business benefits? Is it just numbers or does it attract a certain kind of customer?
Well, it's not just any foot traffic, it's about guaranteed visibility, really. In a city where location is everything, Clarke Quay is a massive sort of built-in marketing advantage.
What a permanent billboard.
Exactly. It draws in this pre-qualified, diverse audience.
Yeah.
That makes getting customers much easier than, say, somewhere off the beaten path.
Okay, that makes sense. And it's not just about getting people there, it's about keeping them, right?
I'm curious, how much does that whole atmosphere, the historical buildings, the modern touches, that vibe, how much does that really factor into a cafe's success? Oh, it's absolutely critical. Those riverfront views, or, the really Instagrammable interiors,
Mhm.
they don't just look nice.
Yeah.
They seriously enhance the whole dining experience. People stay longer, maybe order more,
hmm
and it attracts folks looking for those memorable moments. That's vital for engagement, for social media buzz, which is huge for cafes now.
You also see a really diverse crowd there. Tourists, locals, office workers. How does catering to such a broad mix help a cafe?
That diversity is a major strategic plus. It means cafes aren't just relying on one group.
Okay.
They can serve different people all day long. Breakfast commuters, then maybe tourists midday, office workers for lunch, and then the late night crowd. We know there's a big international visitor presence too, especially from places like China, Indonesia, India.
Interesting.
So that broad market supports different income streams, lets them offer diverse menus. It's a real strength.
But, like you said, it's a competitive spot. Strengths often come with challenges.
So let's talk hurdles. Where do the difficulties lie for cafe owners there? The first thing that always jumps out is the rent. High rental costs. We saw figures like, what, $7 to $7 per square foot per month?
Yeah, that's a staggering figure. Let's put it in perspective for you listening. For a pretty modest 1,000 square foot cafe, that's $7,000 to $11,000 every single month just for rent.
Wow.
It's a massive burden. It can just chew through profit margins, especially if you're new or small. Some reports suggest rent can eat up like 26% of total F&B revenue.
26%.
Yeah, leaves incredibly thin margins for everything else, staff, ingredients, marketing, everything. So the question becomes, how do you even stay profitable with that kind of overhead?
That rent pressure must feed right into the next challenge. Just fierce competition. Clarke Quay is absolutely packed with places to eat and drink.
Oh, absolutely.
Listings show anywhere from, 25 to over 40 restaurants, plus all the cafes. Precisely. And that saturation means cafes have to stand out. They need a unique offering, maybe amazing service, which, costs money and takes effort.
You can't just be another cafe.
Exactly. You need a hook, like Sweely Clarke Quay, combining music and dining. That's a smart way to create a distinct experience.
And then there's staffing. I hear it's tough finding and keeping good baristas, chefs, service staff in Singapore generally. High costs, high turnover.
Yeah, that's a big one. These challenges don't just add to your costs. They can really mess with your service quality.
Right, which is key.
Absolutely critical in this industry. If your service slips because of staffing issues, especially in a place where the experience is part of the draw, it adds huge pressure.
Okay.
It can directly hit customer satisfaction, repeat business.
Okay, so high costs, tough competition, staffing headaches. It sounds daunting, but it's not all doom and gloom, right? There have got to be opportunities.
Definitely huge opportunities.
Let's shift gears. What about growth paths? Singapore's tourism is bouncing back strong, isn't it? The projections are pretty big. 17 to 18.5 million visitors expected in 2025.
Yeah, and tourism spending hitting maybe 29 to $30.5 billion. That's a key takeaway. The sheer scale of potential new customers coming in.
And Clarke Quay is right there, a prime tourist spot.
Exactly. Its status as a must-visit destination positions cafes perfectly to capture that influx, especially, like we said, from those potentially high-spending markets. It's like having a built-in tailwind.
That leads nicely into menu innovation. We're seeing trends like premium coffee, artisanal brews, plant-based options everywhere, and, making dishes super Instagrammable. How big a deal is that?
Oh, it's vital for differentiation. Look at Juway Old Nanyang Coffee Shop offering those Malaysian-inspired menus. That caters to specific tastes, creates a niche. Innovation like that doesn't just attract people who care about food. It drives social media buzz. Free marketing, essentially, which is gold in today's market.
And technology. We can't forget tech.
Right.
Online ordering, loyalty apps, maybe even AI for customer insights, self-service kiosks. Is that catching on?
It has to, really. If you connect it to the bigger picture, tech isn't just about efficiency anymore. It's a real competitive edge.
How so?
Well, it can streamline your operations, boost customer engagement, help reduce those labor costs we talked about,
Right.
and speed up service. In a high-cost place like Clarke Quay, tech isn't just nice to have, it's becoming a strategic must-do.
Makes sense. Okay, one more opportunity. Event participation. Clarke Quay always seems to have something going on, festivals, events.
That's a unique local advantage for sure. Cafes can totally capitalize on those. Special promotions, themed menus during events, it can directly boost sales when those big crowds are around.
Yeah, you see the potential synergy there.
Exactly. The events bring the people, the cafes provide the experience, and maybe collaborating with event organizers could boost visibility even more.
Okay, lots of potential upsides. But every market has risks. Let's look at the threats. First one. Economic shifts, downturns, inflation. That can hit spending on eating out, right? We saw some cautious consumer feelings back in 2023.
Yeah, the potential impact there is pretty stark. Lower revenue. When people get nervous about money, discretionary spending like going out for coffee or a meal is often the first thing they cut back on.
So cafes need to be nimble.
Incredibly agile, managing costs, maybe adjusting offerings to provide value. It's about weathering the storm.
Then there are changing tastes. The push towards healthier options, sustainability, naturally healthy foods, eco-friendly practices, that's a big trend.
It really underscores the need to adapt quickly. If a cafe isn't offering, say, plant-based milk or decent veggie options or isn't transparent about where ingredients come from, they risk losing customers to places that are keeping up. It's not just about taste anymore. It's about values alignment for a lot of people.
And competition again, but this time from new players. New chains expanding rapidly. Like Luckin Coffee, they're planning, over 60 outlets soon?
That's a huge threat. Big foreign brands, often with deep pockets.
Right.
They can afford those premium rents we talked about. They can spend big on marketing. That puts enormous pressure on local independent cafes. It definitely can erode their market share. It just intensifies the fight for every single customer.
Makes it even harder for the little guy.
For sure.
Lastly, regulatory changes. Things like stricter food safety rules, maybe new labor laws.
Yeah.
And that ties back to rising rents again, sometimes driven by demand from these big foreign brands.
Yeah, this is where market forces and regulations can really combine to squeeze margins, sometimes to a breaking point. That example of Floor Patisserie closing after a massive, 57% rent hike.
Wow, 57%?
It's a really stark reminder. It shows how external changes can just price a business out, no matter how good or popular it is. Even a well-run cafe can be vulnerable to things totally outside its control.
Okay, so let's try and pull all this together. Synthesizing these insights for you listening.
Yeah.
What we found is, the cafe business in Clarke Quay definitely benefits from that prime location. The cool atmosphere, the diverse crowd. It's well-placed to tap into Singapore's tourism growth and dining scene.
Absolutely. But those hurdles, the sky-high rents, the intense competition, the staffing struggles, they're significant and they're constant. You can't ignore them.
Right.
But the opportunities are just as real. Leveraging tourism, innovating the menu, embracing tech, getting involved in local events, those are clear paths forward.
So for you listening, looking at this deep dive, what does this all boil down to for success in a market as tough as Clarke Quay?
Well, ultimately, I think what this deep dive shows is that Clarke Quay isn't just a postcode, it's a real crucible. It tests businesses.
Yeah.
Only the cafes that really master differentiation, having something truly unique while maintaining incredibly sharp operational efficiency, despite those crazy costs, only they will genuinely thrive.
So it's not about one magic bullet.
No, I don't think so. It's less about a secret formula and more about just relentless, smart execution in a market that's almost designed to push businesses to their limits.
What a journey it's been, sort of mapping out all these interconnected factors. Hopefully, it paints a clearer picture of the market realities there. We hope you've gained a quicker but still thorough understanding today.
Absolutely. And maybe something to think about, considering that intense competition and those high costs. If you were a cafe owner there, which factor do you think holds the most power right now? Is it that unique menu? Is it pushing hard on tech integration? Or is it really leveraging those local events? Which one truly differentiates and ensures you're still around in the long run?
That's a great question to ponder. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive today. Keep learning, keep exploring.